But we're going to talk about nutrition. So we're going to talk about protein and carbs and fat and how that plays into what impacts your body as an athlete. We're also going to talk about pre and post nutrition and hydration. And then we're also going to talk about supplements. And then we're going to go through specific tactics. I want to give both parents and athletes something that is tactical that you can take away and start putting into effect tomorrow. So you're not just lost in, hey, I heard this guy talk and he gave us a whole bunch of stuff and I have no idea where to start, right? So the goal is to provide you with something tactical that's going to help your athletes maximize their performance, but also create habits that are going to help them long-term to make healthy lifestyle choices. And then the last thing is to start a conversation. I've heard this from more than one parent that are here is, I just want somebody else to tell my kids this because, right, like this becomes frustrating because athletes, you hear mom and dad or whoever, someone chirping in your ear, coach, hey, you should eat this. What are you doing with that? Why are you eating junk food? And you're like, I just want to snap somebody. Boom, right? So, and then parents are like, they never listen to me. They don't get it. They don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Back in my day, we got it. But the goal is to create some context so that way you can, I got a couple laughs, so that was funny. The goal is so that way we can start a conversation and you can be able to communicate and work through that, and we have some specific tactics for that. So here's the goal. No eye rolls and no elbows. No eye rolls from you athletes and no elbows from the parents going like, hey, this is you. He's talking to you right here, okay? All right, so tonight, just a little bit about Movement Fitness. We are passionate about athletic performance. We want to help athletes become the best version of themselves. For coaches, like our goal is to help partner with you to give you an athlete that is faster, stronger, better, so that way when it comes to sport, you can teach them, shooting and dribbling and swinging a bat and doing all the things, all the sport-specific stuff. That's our goal, to help to partner with you to build an athlete that is more complete. We also want to work to minimize injury risk. You can't become a better athlete if you're hurt, right? So the goal is to continue to work to reduce the risk of injury, both through nutrition and through training. We're passionate about seeing young athletes achieve their God-given potential because we think that this can make a huge impact on who you are, where you go, and what you do in your life. We want to see the best come out of you. We also use training as a tool not only to increase physical capacity, but to show athletes what they're truly capable of, right? We want to make this a safe place where they can try something, fail, try it again, overcome, and realize that they're going to face hard things in their lives, and they can overcome that because they've already done something that was hard and they overcame that, right? So we want to help to build athletes that are self-confident and resilient, both physically and mentally. That's our goal. All right, so why nutrition? So this summer we had about 130 athletes in training with us throughout the course of the summer. And so one of the things that we did a very unscientific study, but this whole thing has come out of a conversation with our athletes that we basically asked them 4 questions throughout the course of the day. Here's the 4 questions. What did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat before training? So if they didn't come here right early, first thing in the morning, what did you eat before you came here? Did you drink 10 ounces of water today? And what will you eat before you or after you leave here? The answers to these questions were mostly not good. All right, and I know that we have a bunch of parents that care, and I know that we have a bunch of people that are trying really hard at some stuff. But the answer to what did you eat for breakfast? Nothing or a granola bar? Not great, right? Not having anything before coming to training or coming from another training right into this, not having that nutrition, hydration, right? There's a big gap in that, and we're going to talk through why that's important. And then eating right after you train, right after practice, right after a game is super important. So if you want to maximize your performance, if you want to run faster, athletes jump higher, have more power, play longer, reduce the risk of injury, this is for you. Pay attention because this stuff is the fundamentals and it will work, I guarantee you, every time. All right? So I'm not going to get super sciencey tonight, but this is just a quick overview. Like understanding like calories and nutrition, I don't necessarily want athletes and young people to track calories, like to get in that mode, but to understand that there is a basal metabolic rate, which is the calories required to just function with what you're doing right now. Sitting here, breathing, brain's working, all that good stuff. For a young female teenager, it's about 1,300 to 1,800 calories a day. For a male teenager, it's somewhere between 1,600 and 2,200. Obviously, if you're younger than that, we scale that down just a little bit. There are resources that you can find out what that looks like. But it's just to provide some context, because what we're looking at is when you have a practice, when you have games, when you have tournaments, and you go, hey, we burned 500 calories, 1,000 calories, 2,000 calories, going, there's already something that we have to do to put in our body to make us function as normal and to function optimally. And then on top of that, you're burning a ton of calories. I wanted to just get some context around why this is important, because we need a steady flow of nutrients in the body to make sure we maximize and have continuous development. All right, we want to create optimal energy stores, so we don't have people that are just, you're out on the court and you're gassed. You're on the field and you can't go anymore and you just feel like, ugh, right? We don't want that. We want you to be able to have the gas to continue to go throughout the course of a game or a practice. We want to set the table for maximum performance at each practice. Athletes, I'll tell you what, if you want to be your best, you got to practice with full intensity every single time. If you want to do that, you need to be fueled up. Coming without any fuel is going to leave you less than, and it's going to put you in a position where you're not going to be able to maximize performance in a game, which is where you want that to happen, right? So we want a steady flow of nutrients. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the easiest thing. We're going to start with number one. We're going to start with hydration, okay? Hydration is priority number one because it's the easiest fix. It's the easiest thing that you can change today to make an impact on you. Dehydration is the number one cause of performance decreases. When we look at nutrition, this is number one. We look at water plays a role in every cell of our body. Depending on what you read and where you're at, it's somewhere between 50 and 70% of our body. That's what it makes up, right? So a significant portion. It plays a role in everything. If you're dehydrated, you're going to have some problems. Fluid loss as little as 1% can help you, start to become detrimental, where you start to get things like headache, rapid heart rate, rapid breathing, dizziness, you get lightheaded, constipation, you get cramps, muscle cramps, right? You start to cramp up, hamstring, all that kind of stuff. You can see as we go through, this becomes more and more significant. So if we're aware of it, we can cut that off and we can have a huge impact. How do you tell if you're dehydrated? This is super easy. So you go pee and then you drink accordingly. Okay? So if you look like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, in those first brackets, this kind of gives you an idea literally of looking at what your urine looks like. Because if it looks like that, you're probably in a good spot. But if it starts, the more yellow it gets, the darker it gets, then you're starting to go like, wait a minute, we got a problem because I'm not hydrated enough, right? So this is an easy way to check. You don't have to do something super sciencey, right? Just go to the bathroom, check it, and when you're done there, walk out and go like, hey, I probably need some water, and then go drink accordingly. That's the easiest way to check to see if you're dehydrated. Does anybody know how much water you should drink throughout the course of the day? You got an answer? Who's got an answer? Okay, great. Half your body weight. Oh, you know what? We do this thing around here when somebody gives a good answer or does something well, we give 2 claps. So when I say give 2 claps, we're going to give Steffo 2 claps. Ready? Everybody give Steffo 2 claps. Way to go, bro. Steph, bro. Love that kid. All right, so drink half your body weight in water, so it depends on where you're at. Here's the chart. Super simple math. 120 pounds, drink 60 ounces. If you're 180 pounds, you're drinking 90 ounces. Take that number, divide it in half, whatever it is, drink that. That is a daily recommended hydration tip, okay? So drink your body weight, half your body weight in ounces. Now, if you have games, if you have practices, that we need to drink more than that, and we'll talk more about that here in a minute. But that's the basic level. All right. We put this on our Instagram before, so if you need it, you can take a picture of this. But this is great for pre-game, pre-training, pre-practice, whatever it is. This is the hydration guide that we use. 2 hours before you're going to practice, 16 to 20 ounces of water. Okay? 20 minutes before practice, you're going to drink 8 to 12 ounces of water. During the game, here's where we get, during the game or practice or whatever you're doing, 7 to 10 ounces of water or electrolyte drink. I'll talk about that in a second. Every 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I know for some of you that's not possible. You're playing soccer or you're on the court for a long period of time. You can't always do that. That's where electrolyte drinks come in, and we can talk through that here in just a minute. After your game or practice, sorry, let me go back to during. 3 to 4 big gulps. That's what it looks like. So 7 to 10 ounces is 3 to 4 big gulps of water. So if you got a water bottle and you're not like measuring it out perfectly, 3 to 4 big gulps. Okay? Post-game or practice, 20 to 24 ounces for every pound of weight lost during practice. This is really big in the summer. This is something they do in the NFL. They have the players get on the scale before every practice, and when they're done, they bring them back in and weigh them again, and that way they can't leave the facility until they weigh the same as they did before practice, because that's how important hydration is. So they make them do that, okay? If you want to do that, step on the scale, great. If not, drink at least 20 to 24 ounces of water after your practice, okay, or game. All right, so how do you combat dehydration? Real simple. Carry a water bottle with you. Just take it with you. That's super simple. Know how many ounces you have in a water bottle. So say you've got whatever. You've got a Yeti that's got 30 ounces, holds 30 ounces of water. You weigh 150 pounds. You need 75 ounces of water, because that's half, right? Throughout the course of the day, that thing holds 30 ounces. You're drinking 2.5 of those, right? So just math it up just a little bit. That way you can tell and you know exactly where your hydration level is. All right. Coaches, athletes, parents, so here's a good one. If you have a practice that's an hour long, hydration should be about 28 ounces, like hard. I'm not talking like walkthrough practice, but like you're going at it. If you've got an hour and a half practice, 42 ounces, and 2 hours is 64. Now, that may seem a little cumbersome, but here's what you can do. 2 things. 1, grab your water bottle, fill it up. That way you have all your players, you can have them do it. Players, take your water bottle with you so you don't waste time at the water fountain because there's 7 people lined up. And then you also can take something, a sports drink, a Gatorade or whatever with you, or you just take 2 water bottles, one of the 2. Have them loaded up, have them ready to go, know how long your practice is, and treat it accordingly, all right? Sports drinks, when to use them. If you're not sweating, you don't need them. Okay? They're pointless if you're not training. We use this basic level. If you're training under an hour, you don't need it. If you're an hour plus, you need it. You can use it. If your breaks are limited, if you're not getting a break every 10, 15, 20 minutes and you need a fast something to drink, then that's an opportunity to drink something like a Gatorade or something like that. Okay? Why do we use it? Sodium levels, pulling them back in. That way we get, our body's made up 20, there's a significant amount of sodium in our body, 25%. So we have that in our system. We want to be able to make sure that we absorb and have water into our muscles, right? So we don't get cramps. That's what this does. And the flavor also encourages us to chug it. So that way we just get it down and get it into our system and get rehydrated. Okay. Sports drinks, when to use, what to use. Here's what we recommend. Gatorade, Powerade, and we also recommend Rehydrate. It's a product that we have here because 2 things. Number 1, it offers more sodium and more potassium than Gatorade and Powerade, and it also offers sugar, but it's a cleaner version of that. So that's what we recommend. If you're going to use a Gatorade or a Powerade, that's great. Use the real thing, because if you're using it as appropriate, you will need the electrolytes, the sodium and potassium that it provides, but you're also going to need some sugar. Don't buy the G2 or the Zero because it doesn't provide you the value that you want. Like most people are drinking the Zero or the G2 during like non-competitive times. They use it during competitive times as well. But use the real thing, because if you're using it right, you're going to need that little bit of sugar in there, okay? In game, no body armor, vitamin water, or Propel. Like, those things aren't going to help you. Body armor is sold as a low sodium product. Now look, we don't want to have high sodium products all the time, but in this instance, in a game and where you're playing for extended periods, you want the sodium in there because that's part of the electrolyte profile, all right? But that is sold as a low sodium thing. It's not going to do you any good. It's basically going to be a fruit juice type of drink, okay? So that's hydration. Caffeine. The American Academy of Pediatrics says less than 100 milligrams of caffeine a day. And they actually, if you go look further, it says stimulant-containing energy drinks have no place in the diets of children or adolescents. So, don't drink caffeine. Athletes, your bodies aren't prepared to absorb it the same way an adult does. You're still developing. If you need energy, go to sleep. Wake up on time. Don't drink caffeine, because caffeine will also put you in a cycle. Here's the problem. Most of us as adults drink caffeine because we don't go to bed on time, we don't eat well, we're tired, we wake up and we go, you know what, I need something. Let's get some caffeine, right? So parents, we should do a better job. But also looking at that, it starts this cycle. If you drink caffeine, it keeps you up later throughout the course of the day. You're up later throughout the course of the day, you don't sleep as much. You don't sleep as much, you're tired the next day, and then you start all over again and go, I need more caffeine. So it starts a really serious cycle, right? So 60 to 70% of high school and middle school students don't get enough sleep. Drinking caffeine can worsen your sleeping pattern. So don't drink caffeine, kids, all right? All right, any questions so far? You good? I got a double thumbs up right there. That's good. All right. Here we go. We're going to keep moving. Food, macronutrients. All right, so protein, nature's muscle builder. 3 things to think about with protein: quality, quantity, and frequency. Why do we eat protein? Anybody know? Not you, Steph, bro. Yeah. To stay healthy. Yes. Way to go. Mason wants 2 claps. Everybody give Mason 2 claps. Way to go, bro. All right, so to stay healthy, yes, protein is not stored in our body like carbohydrates and fat. So when you hear like parents, coaches, when you hear like, you need to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours to stoke your metabolism to keep that going, it's essentially, there's a lot of reasons, but it's essentially centered on this idea that protein is not stored in our body. So we need to continually replenish it. So a steady flow of protein is important. We want the right quantity and the right frequency. It repairs our muscles. Here's why. It helps repair our muscles. Every time we practice, train, play in a game, our muscles get torn down. It's 100% catabolic. Every time we put something into our mouth, it's anabolic and it helps build back up what we've torn down. And we want to focus on protein to rebuild our muscles. Because if you want to get faster and stronger, jump higher, all of that, you need muscles to be able to do that. Combining high quality protein with training can help build strength and muscle in athletes. Here's the deal. There is a couple schools of thought. Protein is the one thing that kind of gets a little blurry along lines of what should I do, because there are different schools of thought. When we look at protein, there are basically 2 types of protein: complete protein and incomplete proteins. Complete proteins are things that can contain all 9 essential amino acids that we don't have, that aren't produced in our body. We have to get them from our food. So we're looking for like meat and poultry and fish, egg, hemp, quinoa. Those are complete proteins. That means they've got all 9 essential amino acids that we're going to put into our body. All right. Now the question is can you be a vegan and get enough protein? The answer is yes. It is a little different, because if you look at most of those, you have nuts and seeds and whole grains, vegetables, legumes. If you look at that, those are incomplete proteins. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pair 2 different incomplete proteins together to make sure that you get a match, to make sure that you're getting all 9 amino acids. Okay? So it's possible, but it does take thought and some time to plan out. Protein choices, if you look at this, we just made this gold, silver, bronze, because here's the deal. This is great for discussion purposes, because what we want to do is we want to help to create what is gold, silver, bronze, rather than don't eat this, right? Mom, dad are like, don't eat that. Coach said don't eat fried chicken anymore, right? And you're like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, right? So here's the goal. Gold, silver, bronze. Athletes, you're 100%, I believe you're going to eat pizza, you're going to eat chicken wings, you're going to eat fried chicken, you're going to eat fattier beef at some point. That's all right, as long as you take it within the construct and context of a whole nutrition plan and figure out that shouldn't be where the majority of my food comes from. Boneless, skinless chicken breast, what are gold choices there? Lean beef, egg whites, fish, skim milk, fat-free yogurt, those are 100% things that are basically just protein. No fats, carbs, additional things. Very, very minimal. The silver choices are things that have a little bit of, they have protein and a little bit of fat in them. And then our bronze ones kind of have like a 50-50 protein and fat. So they hold a whole lot of stuff, okay? So what does 25 grams of protein look like? Because that's about what we want to do, 25 grams of protein per meal. There's a ceiling. 30 grams is too much. 40 grams, more than 40 grams is too much, but 30 grams has been proven to be sufficient, kind of a sweet spot. So in that range, especially for athletes, teenage range, 25 grams of protein looks like a cup of cottage cheese, 3 ounces of chicken breast, depending on the size of your chicken. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. 4 eggs, 4 large eggs, egg whites, things like that. Here's a way, if you want to measure that out and you don't have like a scale and do all that, you have, everybody's got a palm, right? That's the size of protein you're looking at. For females, we look for 1 palm size per meal. For males, 2 of them, okay? That's the deal. That's what protein looks like. This is a big picture slide. So if you're looking at how much throughout the course of a day, most of our people, they're falling into this competitive athlete category. Not to get, again, super sciencey, but take your body weight. 150-pound athlete is going to be using somewhere around 90 to 135 grams of protein a day. If you're really trying to increase muscle mass, you can go up to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If not, we can back that down to probably about 0.6 or so, just to give you an idea of how much throughout the course of the day if you were to track and look at that. So that basically equates to 3 meals that has your palm as appropriate, and then 1 to 2 snacks, which could be a pre-game or a post-game snack. So just keeping it simple, look at your palm and you have 1 to 2 of those, depending on if you're male or female, in between for your meals or for your snacks pre and post-game. So that's that. Everybody tracking so far? Good? I like it. All right, here we go. Carbs, body's main energy source. Carbohydrates power every move. It powers everything we do. Carbs are broken down into glucose. It powers every short burst sport that we have, right? So it partners with fat for endurance sports. So it's very important that we make sure that we have enough carbohydrates in our system, but we want quality stuff, not just garbage, all right? So glucose, this piece is really important, like having carbohydrates in our body. This is what our brain uses. It uses up to 70% of the available glucose in our system. So if we don't have this, here's what happens. If carbs aren't available, you get brain fog, fatigue, suffer physically and mentally, and this is when teenagers look like zombies or turn into zombies, right? So we want to make sure that we have a steady flow of carbohydrates there. Simple, complex. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it's automatically bad. Like simple is equated with sugar and we're like, oh, sugar's the devil, right? But when we look at this, fruit, honey, yogurt, milk, there are things that we can use that will help our body in short-term scenarios if we do it well. Complex carbs, you look at rice, sweet and white potatoes, quinoa, pasta, those type of scenarios. That's the difference between a simple and a complex carbohydrate. If we overconsume glucose, this is real simple, it's going to be converted into fat. Okay, so that's one of the ways that I ended up at 296 pounds. I overconsumed glucose. So carbohydrates, depending on where we're at. So immediately before a game, this is where we're going to have some simple carbohydrates. During a game, after a game, those are scenarios where we want to have something that's quicker, so it's more available for our body to use faster. Away from the game, we want to be more complex, which is fruits and vegetables, greens. You can use some of your starchy stuff outside of the games, and that's what this would look like. Goal choices. Athletes, here's the deal. Vegetables and fruit matter, and you need to eat them because they have micronutrients. I think she's choking right over here. Can somebody get her a carrot? No, I'm just kidding. I said vegetables, and she went, oh, right? That's super important. It's just important, all right? So making sure you get your greens, make sure you get your fruit, because that's really important. Silver choices in the middle. We need to have some of these baked potatoes, sweet potatoes, whole grain stuff. And then the bronze choices over here. This is the category that we want to reduce significantly, right? Candy pretzels, sugary cereal. Got you right. Oh, I'm sorry, no eye rolls, thank you. That was an elbow, sorry, that was an elbow. No French fries, no Chick-fil-A waffle fries. Oh, whoa, whoa. Got a reaction there, sorry. All right. Okay. And then, here's what this looks like. So you can take a picture of this and break it down. Again, light activity. This gives you an idea of what amounts could look like. Here's light activity. Here's moderate to high intensity activity. 1 hour of activity per most days of the week. This is 1 hour of practice, a couple days, 3 to 4 days-ish a week. What that looks like for an athlete. If you play baseball, you get less carbohydrates. So carbohydrates there. Chewing the fat. Fat doesn't mean fat. Fat is an essential nutrient to our body. Our body doesn't produce it. We need to get it from our food. It's very important. It helps us. It has a source of energy, but it also makes us feel full. This is something that's great, especially outside of training times or practice times. It regulates hormone balance, muscle contraction, immune function. So if you want to stay healthy and you want to maximize your muscle capabilities, you need to have some fat. You need to be able to function with that. We want to stay away from saturated stuff like lots of skin-on poultry, butter, whole milk, 2%. So the goal is to reduce the amount of saturated fat, eliminate trans fat. I mean, is there anything that's allowed to have trans fat anymore? We're out. It's gone. But if you found it, don't eat it. What's that? Butter on popcorn at the movie theater. That's not really butter. They just call it a buttery, or they call it a topping. It's nasty. But oh, so good. No, I'm just kidding. Monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. That's where we want to stay. Nut butters, olives, avocados, olive oil, stuff like that. That's where we want to stay. Seeds, omega-3 from fishes, from fish. Those are great sources of fat. So this is what that looks like, just in a simple way. Again, reducing the amount of bronze choices, pizza, butter, stick margarine, all that kind of stuff. So, plus a lot of the stuff we talked about in the protein slide with fried stuff, and hot dogs and all of that. Thumb size, looking at this for male and female, 2 for male, 1 for female. Less fat around your workouts, more fat around your non-workouts. So breakfast, dinner, great opportunities to have some fat in your meals, and we'll walk through what that looks like. All right, supplements, hype or hope. I'm going to tell you this. Supplements, here's the statement on supplements. The best 3 supplements for enhancing performance are sleep, water, and real food. I love this. Coach Brett Bartholomew had this. There's no magic pill that will outperform consistent adherence to the fundamentals. Master the simple things first. Athletes, master the simple things first, whether it's at practice, drills that coaches are having you work on. You want to get to a higher level, you got to master the fundamentals first. If you want to maximize your nutrition, you need to master the fundamentals first. If we look at nutrition, 80%, the number that I go with, I've heard, is 80% of your height is based off of familial, so your family. 20% is based off of your nutrition. So if you're coming into your puberty years, your teenage years, and you're not eating well, you may potentially be missing an opportunity to grow to your maximum capability. Okay? So, sleep, eat water, and real food. How many hours does a teenager need to sleep? 11? Yeah? 9? Perfect. 9 to 11. That was great. Way to go. Is that Ethan? You, Ethan? All right, everybody give Ethan 2 claps. Way to go, Ethan. Nice job. He's pumped about that. All right, here's the couple things that I'll walk through. If you're doing all of that and you want to go to the next level, we use all Advocare stuff, but here's what I want you to know is probably a multivitamin, not a chewable or the Flintstones. Okay, something that they should be on to make sure that they're getting nutrients. I think there's myths in the diets regardless of how well we're doing. We still need to have something that is going to be put in their body. Omega, that's just something I put up there. So if you're not getting enough omega-3s, we have diets that are high in omega-6 and omega-9, which causes inflammation. Omega-3 reduces that. That's an opportunity. I know my kids take that. So finding a good one is important because if not, they can taste like fish oil the rest of the day. So you can find those. The only real, I think protein is a good supplement if you're eating well and you're on the go and you need something. I think that can be something that can be helpful for people. But the only supplement that I would say that's actual, when I think of performance supplement, is creatine. It's got over 700 studies that have proven its efficacy and its safety. We recommend Mass Impact because it also has leucine in it, which is an essential amino acid which promotes muscle protein synthesis that helps recuperation. So that is something that I would recommend if you're doing everything else first. So that's that. Parents, if you're confused and you're like, oh, well, he came home and they said to take this and somebody told him that, they gained 30 pounds taking this thing. If it doesn't have one of these labels, they can't take it, right? Because here's why. These labels are These are different organizations that test the supplements to make sure that they are 100% what they say they are and where they're coming from. They're not tainted and they're not going to fail a drug test. Okay? So this is super huge. We use Advocare because it's been almost all of their products have been tested through Informed Choice. Drew Brees is a sponsor of theirs, and he can't fail a drug test. That's really important for him to be on the field. So these are labels. So if you're looking, those are 5 organizations that you can look for to see if it makes sense. So putting it all together. Prioritizing the important. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of things. We could literally talk nutrition and everything for days. Here's the 3 things I want you to take away and to actually be able to apply, and it's this: hydration, breakfast, pre and post training. Okay? Those are 3 things that you can start doing tomorrow that can make an impact in your energy, in your effort, and your ability to maximize your performance. But also it's going to create habits for long term. Okay? So we talked about the hydration guide. So there's that. Making sure that you're hydrated up before practice. 16 to 20 ounces. 2 hours before, 20 minutes before, 8 to 12 ounces. Take your water with you. Take your stuff with you. So that way you have it. Okay? And you know how much you need to drink. Nutrition. Pre and post game or training. A couple hours before, 4 hours before a bigger meal. So just like a normal meal. So you look at like pasta with marinara, fruit, yogurt, grilled chicken breast with broccoli, potato, roll. Those are the type of meals. Like actually have a meal. 2 to 3 hours beforehand. Now you don't have to do all of these. Let me preface that. Okay, so you want to make sure if you're doing the 4 hour plus meal, you're not going to do the 2 to 3. Okay, if you're 2 to 3 hours out and you're like, hey, what do I need? So bagel with peanut butter and banana. Okay, Greek yogurt, and berries with granola. That's an opportunity there. 1 to 2 hours beforehand. So now a little more from a simple carbohydrate perspective, what we talked about: fruit, banana, apples, berries, low-fat yogurt, a mini bagel with some peanut butter. Those are great 1 to 2 hours. And then about an hour beforehand, 14 ounces of chocolate milk, something like that. It's got protein and carbohydrates in it. You can have your water, electrolyte drink, whatever you're drinking in advance of your game. This is important. So if you have games on like a Saturday morning, an 8 o'clock game, and you're like, my kid is not going to eat. Athletes, you're like, I don't want to eat beforehand. Here's what you do. You eat a big meal the night before. And then you wake up and you have something small, or you have your electrolyte drink that morning, right? So big dinner, you're going to be able to have energy stored up, and then you just use a little bit in the morning, make sure you're hydrated, and then have a little snack before you go to your game. That way you're not fighting parents. You're not going like, well, he said you got to get it. Well, if you have an 8 o'clock game, you don't have to get up at 4 in the morning to eat your food, okay? So just eat a bigger meal the night before. There's that. After your game, after training, after performance, here's what I recommend. Immediately, something like chocolate milk, because it's super easy, okay? Chocolate milk, if we have chocolate milk, we have ready to drink protein shakes after training. So that's an option there. You can have whole food. Whole food is always the best answer, but I don't know a ton of people that have 4 to 6 ounces of chicken breast. Unless you take the Macro Kitchen with you, you could do that. You could like pack it up, take it to the field, and have Steph Bro eat it right there on the field. That's what I'm talking about. So you can do that. That's always the best option, but we want to make sure we also live and work in the real world too. So my recommendation is immediately after have a chocolate milk or a shake like that, and then about an hour and a half, 2 hours post, you're going to have a meal. So baked potato with some chicken, carrots, and some fruit, right? If we're looking at that, we want some fruit, vegetables, a little starchy carb, and a protein. That's the idea. And then some fat, that's with the butter, but you could also use olive oil, something like that. Breakfast. So we talked about that. Breakfast is breaking. Does anybody know what the breakfast stands for, where it came from, what it comes from? What? You got it? No, he thought he had it. Breaking the fast, okay? Breaking the fast, literally. So in the morning, your body's been in a fasted state. Breaking the fast, this is the best time. Athletes, this is the best time to put food into your body. Well, I guess it was second best after training, but put some food in your body, because this is the opportunity where you can eat and you're fueling yourself for the day. This matters not only for sports, because it also matters for school, because we talked about earlier, if you don't have the glucose, which is carbohydrates, in your body, your brain doesn't have the fuel, and then you're going to be walking around like this, like, oh gosh, and it's 9 o'clock and you're like, oh, I hate life. I got to go to class and take a test, right? Wake up, put some food in your body first thing in the morning, okay? This is also a great life habit to eat food, to wake up and eat your food in the morning first thing. Here are 5 simple breakfast choices. If you want to take a picture of that, you can. Overnight oats, cottage cheese with fruit, an egg and bean burrito, peanut butter and fruit. There's a shake. I do a shake every single morning. That's what I do. So, because I know it's quick, it's easy, and I'm going to get it done. And I don't have to worry about cooking something every morning. So there's that option too. What's up? Cereal? What kind of cereal? No. Definitely not. That's a good question though, but this is real, because you go, what's quick and easy? And it's cereal, right? You go, well, it's got milk and it's got sugar, It's got milk and it's got sugar, so it's got lots of sugar. So the answer is no. I would love, for you to figure out a way to replace that with some yogurt and some fruit or some granola. I guarantee you it tastes amazing. You're going to love it, but it takes a little extra to plan for that. That's the deal. Yes, Ethan. I'm not going to tell you there's any cereal you can eat, because none of it's really good. Like Riley will even eat cornflakes, right? And you go like, cornflakes aren't awful, but they're not good, right? There's not a ton of value in that. And he's going to go to school and he's going to be hungry, because even if you look at that and you go like, he has a big bowl of it, he's probably maxed at like 250 calories. And you go, all right, well, go back to the beginning. He's somewhere around 1,500 minimum needed just to function. So he starts the day with like 250, and then you're like, there's a big gap for the rest of the day. And you're going to be tired, your brain's going to be foggy, and you're not going to be able to do your best on your test. And you need to be able to do your best on your test. Okay? Good question. I like it. The answer is no. All right. If you want to build a breakfast, here's a quick one. So like some whole grains, protein. This isn't my slide, but they have whole grain cereal on there. But get rid of the cereal and pick the fruit. Okay? Fruit's good in the morning. Here's a sample menu. I've got next two slides. Sample menus for females and males. So these are just more options for you to look at what a course of a day looks like. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. So if someone's, if you're going to a practice, you look at this and you go, all right, we have breakfast, we have lunch. After school, we have practice. So you're going to have your pre-training snack, which this says, Greek yogurt, honey, and some blueberries. Okay? And then you're going to go to practice, you're going to have a chocolate milk, and then you're going to go home and you're going to have your dinner. That's what that would look like. There you go. Any questions on that? Same thing, just a different version. Well, these are a little different, so it just gives you an idea from food perspective of what that looks like. Again, here's what plates look like. Here are some breakfast ideas. Okay, egg sandwich, breads with toast and jam and peanut butter, oatmeal, cereal, like toast with peanut butter and rather it be like fruit, but something like that would be great. Oatmeal with some fruit in it. Man, you can get up and make yourself some omelets, that would be killer. Or if you can get your, mom or dad or somebody to wake you up and make you an omelet, that'd be great too. Oh no, I'm getting the head shake back there. No. Okay. So there's some of that. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, great choices there. Lunch and dinner, sandwiches, turkey. We know we're not going to eat perfect, and you might not be able to prepare diced chicken breasts with broccoli for lunch for these kids. So turkey sandwich is a good option, right? So soups, pasta with some marinara, grilled chicken, things like that. A leaner hamburger, turkey, potatoes, steamed vegetables, okay? There's that. Eating on the go is always a challenge, right? So if you want, if you're out of town, you're at a tournament, and you go, I don't know what to do, here are some options. Chick-fil-A has a grilled chicken sandwich. You know that? They have grilled nuggets too. You can go with those instead of the spicy chicken sandwich or something like that. Okay? They have side salads. If you look at Panera, you have egg and cheese breakfast sandwiches. There are options for most places, other than Taco Bell, there are options for most places that have good options. Okay? So you can make good choices. You can go to Chipotle and you can build yourself a burrito that doesn't have to be super huge, right? This one here, you go to pizza, you go to the pizza place, right? And you're like, well, I'm just kind of stuck. Get a salad, cut it short. Don't eat a bunch of pizza. Or better yet, pack some stuff and take it with you. Just be prepared. I'm a whole food advocate, but I would tell you this, I would rather you eat a Quest bar that's got protein and carbs and fat in it, and that rather than eating a piece of pizza. Okay? So being prepared, there's other type of protein bars and shakes and stuff that you could take with you. I don't recommend that to be your main source, but in a pinch, those are options. And here's why. Here's a couple reasons. So both financially and nutritionally. Ready? So Americans on average eat out 3 times a week right now. The average American spends $14 on that meal for one person. And the average meal is about 1,200 calories. If you look at that, if you do that weekly, that's $42, 3,600 calories, and you're going to gain about a pound of body fat a week. If you do that over the course of a month, that's $169. That's 14,400 calories and 4 pounds of body fat. And if you do that over the course of a year, that's $2,300 for one person. 172,000 calories, and that means you're going to put on about 49 pounds of body fat. Okay? Eating out is not good for you.